chosen one. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because right now, as you read these words, there is a silence settling in the camp of your enemies that is not peace but fear. There is a hush that feels sudden, overnight, as if someone ripped the wires out of their mouths. You've heard their mocking before, the rumors, the threats, the fake smiles in public, masking schemes behind closed doors. You saw the group chats light up when your name was in trouble, when your contract was endangered, when that invoice sat unpaid for another week. You heard them rejoice when the doctor came back with bad news, when you tossed and turned all night and couldn't function the next morning. Every call that didn't come, every door that slammed, every cold shoulder you felt leaving a room. These were all part of their planned campaign, whisper by whisper, to wear you down, to make you question if God was really ever on your side. But right now, that noise has vanished. The phone's quiet, the rumors dry up. Those who once delighted in your anxiety now find themselves anxious and tongue-tied, staring at unfinished texts they can't send, shaking with a pain they won't say out loud. Let me tell you what's really happening in this silence. This is not indifference from your enemies. It's the fear of exposure. Suddenly, overnight, the things they did in secret are boomeranging, rising up like dark fog in their own rooms. The deals they sabotaged for you now unravel their own finances. They can't speak because the same mouths that cursed you are now weighed down by the taste of their own words. And there's more, not just silence, but an inability to organize. They can't gather. Plans fizzle out. Those allies who once nodded in secret now avoid, back away, breathing shallow, desperate not to be implicated as their old conversations surface in inboxes, voice notes, screenshots that God himself is surfacing for the right eyes to see at the right time. The same hands that pointed at you accusingly now tremble with dread of being noticed. At their jobs, the manager who grinned at your struggles now can't explain the errors piling up on their desk, errors nobody else owns, mistakes that don't add up, numbers that betray them, documents they swear they submitted lost overnight. The reversal is real, the silence speaks. Let me show you what it feels like for them right now. The silence is not comfort, it's suffocation. They wanted peace by erasing your presence, but instead they have unrest so loud it shakes their bones. They try to distract themselves, swipe through feeds for a dopamine hit, scroll email hoping for affirmation, plug into noise just to drown out the voice of conscience drilling holes into their defenses. Every attempt to normalize their day fails. The lunch tastes cold. Music grates instead of soothes. They lie awake at night, replaying everything they said to sabotage you. Panic swirling in their stomach as the clock ticks past midnight, as the weight of everything hidden presses in. It is 3 a.m., and here comes the full cost. Let me take you into their 3 a.m. now, because you need to know the depth of this reversal. They wake up in the dark with a dry mouth and a pounding heart, hands shaking, sure someone will find out. Right now, as you breathe in, someone who thought their lie would break you is being tormented by their own replay reel. They sweat through the sheets, run their tongue along cracked lips, try to swallow that lump in the throat that will not dissolve. They check their bank account again and see a negative sign, a fee, a deduction that makes no sense. A contract they manipulated to cut you out is now costing them real money. Penalties, lost bonuses, sudden project failures that never happened before. They roll back over, but the pillow feels wrong, the air feels heavy, and nothing brings rest. They reach for their phone, hoping for affirmation, but the DM is empty. Friends stop replying, old partners busy. Even the ones who once delighted to share gossip ghost them. Instagram is a void, every like feels mocking, every happy post from you cuts them deeper. Maybe they try meditation, desperate for peace, but their mind scurries. What if the truth gets out? What if so-and-so talks? What if the boss calls tomorrow? They try a sleeping pill, but the guilt is stronger. They pray but do not feel heard. They replay it all. The email they sent to sabotage you, that late-night call to discredit you, the way their laughter rang out when your name was dragged. Now, in this blackest hour of the night, nightmares bleed into waking thoughts. Morning does not bring relief. Morning is heavier, colder, the bed an anchor weighing them down. Because silence does not heal them, this silence intensifies the internal collapse. And here's the secret: they'd take your noise, your complaints, your confrontation over this torment any day. They never thought the silence would scream so loud. Let me break this down for you with real scenarios. Night and day, the tables have turned. Let's start with finances. The first thing being reversed is the money drain. Where they once saw you begging for extensions or watching deals fall through, now their own bank balance webs shrink. A loan promised to them is denied, an expected payment is canceled. Their direct deposit is delayed by the system, but it never resolves. Suddenly, bills are due. Expecting a bonus, they get deduction. The same sources who helped fund their schemes now cut off the flow, suspicious, skittish, not wanting to be tied to something about to blow up. Their spending to sabotage you yields nothing. Money gone, no reward, only empty ledgers. The client who was guaranteed because they badmouthed your name pulls out last minute, unsettled by a gut feeling. Every time they try another workaround, another shortcut, the door slams harder. Not just lack, but loss. Not just stalled, but sinking. Let me explain what's unraveling in their relationships. Once your enemies could gather a crowd to isolate you. Not anymore. Now old supporters avoid their calls. Co-workers are in a meeting. Friends change the subject. At family gatherings, their presence brings a chill, not the control they once had. Secrets are no longer safe. Everyone is more cautious around them, sensing their desperation. Where laughter used to rumble in corners about your struggle, now everything stops when they walk in. It is the loneliness of a ringleader abandoned, exposed, every alliance feeling fake. Those who once defended them now second guess. Their own circle shrinks, one silent exit at a time. The reversal is not just exposure, it's evaporation. They feel it in every ignored text, every dropped call, every birthday invite that never comes. Let me show you how this affects their health and spirit. You remember when they mocked your anxiety, called you fragile for needing prayer, for struggling with those 3 a.m. attacks. Now their own sleeplessness begins. Headaches, stomach cramps, sudden panic in the middle of the workday. Nightmares, unexplained exhaustion. They check the mirror and see puffiness that won't fade, eyes red-rimmed. The doctor tells them nothing is wrong, but they know. Every test comes back normal, yet they feel off-center, out of control, spiraling. They search for comfort, but faithless rituals bring no relief. There's nowhere to hide. Their body keeps score, symptoms living as a record of the spiritual debt now being repaid. Let me take you into the reversal in their career, the very platform they tried to build by cutting yours down. Suddenly, opportunities disappear. Posts untouched, resumes ignored, referrals dry up. The manager who shielded them now openly questions their performance. Promotions that were hints and winks now evaporate. The work they sabotaged in your name now explodes under their watch. Every reputation they damaged comes back multiplied, but now, it's their own credibility, not yours, on the line, not just passed over, but publicly critiqued. New people enter the company, seeing through their charm, unwilling to play along. Suddenly the applause stops, the validation ends, the room hushes when they enter. Finally, let me show you the big spiritual reversal. They once enjoyed a sense of power, a feeling like their words shaped outcomes, but now there's a loss of authority, a vacuum. They pray and the heavens stay brass, no answering voice, no signs, only the echo of their own accusations bouncing back. Where favor once seemed to smile on them, doors stay locked. They encounter sudden opposition in traffic, in paperwork, everywhere. Even their usual lucky breaks vanish. They sense a heaviness they can't explain, a wall they can't climb, as if every wrong word spoken over you has placed a weight on their own chest. The harder they try to reclaim that old swagger, the more undeniable the absence of real peace becomes. Everything they weaponized against you is now boomeranging with interest. Chosen one, this is not ordinary silence, and this is not coincidence. This is the power of divine reversal manifesting suddenly, overnight, blatantly, unmistakably. Every tongue that rose against you has gone quiet, not out of mercy, but out of God's judgment. Every plot that seemed airtight is exposed by a single error, a forgotten email, a hidden conversation God chooses to spotlight. The doors they locked for you have become their own cells. The isolation you endured becomes their shame. They wanted you erased, but heaven wrote your testimony louder. They laughed at your pain, but heaven multiplied your joy. They lied in secret, but truth is now the loudest voice in every room. They hoped your calling would die in obscurity, but heaven elevated you in the open. They celebrated your weakness, but strength sprung up where they never saw. They predicted foreclosure, but God built your house. They scheduled your end, but God set a table right in front of their silence. Right now, overnight, reversal is complete. Silence for them, a song for you. They lost rest, but you gained peace. They lost allies, but divine connection finds you. What they tried to bury is breaking ground, suddenly. Overnight. Now. Let me show you what happens next, chosen one, because this is not just the shutting of old mouths. It's the breaking open of new destiny, real and unfolding. Right now, as the hush falls on everything that used to threaten you, heaven is opening windows no voice on earth can close. It's a reversal, yes, but it's also a transfer. The places where you were denied access, you're now being admitted. The names that once made people frown now pull favor out of strangers. The gatekeepers kept you out, but their keys mean nothing at the door God Himself is opening. Right now, as the dust settles from the fallout in their camp, there's movement in the realm of the spirit that makes no sense to those who only measure opportunity by connection, status, or hype. Your name is whispered in meetings you never saw coming. Someone who blocked and unfollowed you now scrolls back through your timeline in secret, realizing too late the power of the one they dismissed. Let me take you to the scene that no enemy saw coming, the raising up of the one they wrote off. You weren't picked for the committee, weren't copied on the important email, were conveniently left off the invite. But now, right now, suddenly the tables have turned. The project they tried to build without you is falling apart, exposed by a gap only your gifting can fill. The organization that maneuvered you out now stalls, losing momentum, limping from one crisis to the next, asking, who can carry this? Your name surfaces. Your skills, once mocked, are now sought out. A problem arises that stumps every expert, and the only solution points straight to you. It's the very authority they tried to strip away, now returned sevenfold in public view. Not just inclusion, but promotion. Not just back in the mix, but handed the mic, the agenda, the voice of blessing. Doors creak wide, and even the ones who opposed you have to nod as your footsteps echo down the hall they meant to keep you out of forever. Let me explain the experience of vindication, how it feels in the muscles, in the breath after so many dark seasons of accusation and doubt. Overnight, you notice the difference in your own body, how the stress unwinds from your shoulders, how you wake not with dread but anticipation. The anxiety that once had you gripping bedsheets at 3 a.m. dissolves into an unexpected restfulness. You sit at breakfast and your appetite is back. You answer emails and feel confidence waking up in your spirit again. Conversations that used to scare you now roll off your tongue with wisdom and clarity. Where there was always fear of misunderstanding, you now sense an authority that is not prideful but rooted in the fire you walked through. Let me tell you, it's not that you stopped caring. It's that the Spirit of God has vindicated you so thoroughly the weight of their gossip can't touch you. The same circles that tore through your reputation now stare in awe as peace surrounds you like a force field. And here is the reversal they never expected. The one they tried to shame is now clothed in honor. The one they tried to silence now speaks with power. People ask for your advice not out of pity, but because they recognize the presence of wisdom and battle-tested anointing on you. Let me open your eyes to the practical side of this commission, where the divine reversal turns into a calling bigger than just your story. Right now, you are moving from vindication to assignment. The peace that settled on you is not just reprieve, but preparation. You will notice opportunities that call for your specific scarred hands, your unique timeline, your survived trauma. Invitations come, not just in the inbox, but in the sudden awareness that your struggle was training for someone else's breakthrough. A neighbor confides in you out of nowhere. A coworker breaks down and asks, "How did you get through?" The insight that helped you survive helps others find a way out too. When you speak, rooms listen. When you pray, heavens shift. Money that used to trickle now arrives in amounts that make you double-check. Sudden contracts, overdue checks released by mistake, unexpected refunds, even lost items recovered as if heaven is marking payment in full. The tables have turned and they're still turning. Every resource once blocked is now flowing freely. You find yourself operating in spaces that would have intimidated you last year. You see God's fingerprints on your timeline. Delays that preserved you, detours that redirected you, doors that stayed shut until your preparation was complete. Let me get down to the soul-level change, because this commission is not about being seen, but about being sent. You start to realize you don't care who knows your story as long as Jesus gets the glory. You lose the desire to return fire, to clap back, because vindication has given you a taste of something so much sweeter than revenge. In place of swirling anxiety, you start to sense a stability inside you, like the Spirit set concrete where there used to be quicksand. You look around and see others who need that same stability, and you become a lifeline for them. Where bitterness once threatened to take root, compassion grows instead. You pray for your enemies, not out of obligation or pressure, but because you can see the torment that living in opposition to God brings. You don't celebrate their collapse. You weep for the emptiness of those who thought your pain was funny until their own midnight hour hit. Not just healed, but whole. Not just restored, but rehabilitated and ready. God is now trusting you with influence, power, provision that only the tested survive, and you walk in it with humility because you know how long you wandered in the wilderness. Let me tell you about the new doors, the ones nobody can close, the contract that fell through last year. This season, someone calls out of the blue, apologizes for the silence, and offers something even better. The relationship that cracked under pressure. Now new connections arrive, people with integrity, hearts right, vision aligned, who see you and honor your story from the start. Where opportunity was always almost, now it is concrete. Not just a promise, but a plan. Where you were the last one considered, you are now the first call. Connections once weak become unbreakable, sustained not by mutual need, but by divinely orchestrated assignment. Your platform grows, email opens multiplied, text replies fill your phone. You do not chase these things, they chase you, because heaven intentionally flips the script for the chosen to be seen in their season. Let me speak to the restoration of your reputation, line by line. Right now, those who dismissed you begin to remember exactly what set you apart. Your work is discussed at tables where your name was blacklisted. The losses that disgraced you become stories that inspire others. The praises now spoken over you are not shallow. They are shaped by the pain, patience, and perseverance you showed. You sense the difference instantly. People defending you before you even enter the room. Old critics apologizing or stepping aside. New voices rising up to endorse, recommend, sponsor, elevate. When questions about your past surface, God Himself provides witnesses, receipts, clarity. Where fog and confusion hovered over your timeline, now transparency reigns. Every misunderstanding is cleared, every lie exposed by incontrovertible truth. The process wasn't quick, but it is total. You walk in rooms no longer having to prove yourself. Your reputation is no longer rumor-driven, but evidence-backed. Let me remind you what the Spirit is saying in this hour. The reversal was never just about you escaping. It was about the kingdom expanding. Your hardship was the proving ground, not the finish line. The journey through betrayal, slander, silence, and exile was not wasted. God has commissioned you as a testimony in flesh, living proof that no weapon formed can prosper, no curse spoken can stick. Your story is now a sharp instrument to cut chains off of others. You find yourself praying bigger prayers, asking for bolder things, not because you crave status, but because faith has been forged in your furnace. You carry authority in your presence, not the swagger of the old order, but the confidence that comes from fire-walking survival. You give where you used to withhold. You invite where you used to withdraw. You testify openly because shame is gone and there is no fear in the light. Let me declare this as plainly as I can. The time of cowering is over. The time of hiding is finished. Overnight, the wilderness became the war room, and the next step is conquest. You are not just rescued, you are launched. You are not just justified, you are deployed. In the places where you were silenced, you are now a mouthpiece for justice. In the scenes where you were minimized, you magnify the only name that matters. You are marked, the oil from your crushing now shining on your brow for all to see. Favor undeniable, breakthrough irreversible, advancement accelerated. The reversal is complete, but it is also continuous. Every day new mercies, every night new victories, every morning new doors. So here is the final word, the decree over your next chapter. They tried to tie your name to their gossip, but heaven etched your name into purpose. They invested in your collapse, but God built a launch pad under your wilderness. They planned regret for you, but joy is your companion. They orchestrated confusion, but clarity has clothed you. They branded you by your worst day, but God called you by your destiny. They wrote you off, and heaven wrote you in. They expected breakdown, but you broke free. They closed the door, but God set a banquet at the threshold. They fell silent, but your song rose. They waited for your ending, but God unveiled your new beginning. Divine reversal, total vindication, heaven's commission, all unfolding suddenly, overnight, now. Let me take you even deeper, chosen one, because there's a holy weight upon these hours, and you need to understand just how thorough this victory is. How wide, how lasting, how irreversible. The world sees the surface, a situation flip, a clearing of your name, maybe even a surprise promotion or unexpected blessing. But what's happening inside you is far richer than applause or outward reward. Right now, heaven is doing spiritual reconstruction where the wounds once festered. Not just patching you up, but building you stronger. Sealing old leaks so nothing diseased or doubting sneaks back in. Tightening the walls of your heart so you cannot be swayed by another's opinion again. You start to notice, moment by unspectacular moment, that your joy is returning where old dread used to linger. You take a phone call without a knot in your stomach. You answer emails without prepping defenses. You wake before the alarm and there's no weight on your chest. Just quiet gratitude, breathing steady, hope alive. Let me show you what happens with restoration, how it multiplies beyond your private circle. The enemy's strategy wasn't only to isolate you, it was to cast shadow on every bit of environment that carried your fingerprint. They wanted your absence to ripple, to scrub joy from old friendships, to spoil the atmosphere at work, at church, at home. They spoke their bitterness like a virus, spreading suspicion, coldness, misunderstanding. But now, right now, you see evidence that the campaign has collapsed. Relationships once frayed by rumor are quietly mending. A sibling reaches out, awkward but sincere. An old friend who ghosted you texts, "I've been meaning to say sorry." The places where your presence once drew side eyes now feel warm again. Clouds parting because the truth has surfaced and the lies have drowned under their own weight. Even those who never counted themselves friends now greet you with respect that wasn't there before. There is a clearing, a change in the air. Where there was static, there's peace. Where there was plotting, now there's curiosity. People drawn by the weight you carry, even if they don't understand it. Let me explain what's being restored in your household, because when God moves for you, He moves for those connected to you. The fear that kept everyone tense at the dinner table, wondering what setback was coming next, has evaporated. Bills that stacked up feeling impossible. Suddenly, payments arrive. An unexpected refund from an old overpayment. An employer admits a payroll mistake and deposits what was owed plus interest. Groceries last longer than they should. A doctor's concern from last month clears up on its own, paperwork stamped resolved in your favor. Peace returns to the rhythms of your daily life, not as something you have to perform or maintain, but a wind that settles by itself, pillars of calm beneath your roof. Children who watched you wrestle with despair now see victory lived out as a lesson. I saw what my parents went through, and I saw God bring them out. Your story becomes their anchor, your journey their testimony. Let me take you into the realm of your creative work, your calling. The thing inside you that's always been bigger than just survival. The season of sabotage drained your confidence, made you second-guess your gifts, left you thinking maybe you misunderstood your purpose. Now the silence has become space for new inspiration. What felt like a grave is actually fertile land. Ideas spring up in the dead places. You sit at the desk, hands ready, and the words flow again. The music returns, the plans solidify. Opportunities to share your work, gigs, platforms, commissions arrive not from begging or hustling, but because someone somewhere noticed your faithfulness in obscurity. People ask for your expertise and assign value to it. The projects that languished before now find their finish. Resource finds you. Creativity returns not as an escape, but as a weapon carving new territory. You realize you are dangerous again, not to people, but to every spirit that ever tried to keep vision locked and dreams on life support. Let me show you how this vindication ripples outward. Your story is now a light in the windows of others still wandering their own shadow seasons. Someone struggling in secrets you know too well sees you on the other side and finds courage to stand. You notice people start to seek your counsel not out of pity or curiosity, but because they sense the oil of perseverance on you. You pray and things shift for others. You speak and old lies shatter. Not by your force, but by the authority God has placed in your walk. You become a safe harbor for the bruised and battle-weary, a shelter that only someone who's been vindicated can provide. Your weakness, once shameful, now draws people because you've got nothing left to prove, only something powerful to give. This is God multiplying the comfort He gave you. What you survived, you now steward. What you almost lost, you now extend. Let me break down how this commission shows up in practical victories, one after another. Each one impossible to orchestrate by your own hand. You watch invoices processed with speed and accuracy. Delayed payments appear just when you need them. Applications that faced endless processing emails now return as approvals. You get positive feedback from unexpected sources. Systems that rejected you inexplicably make room. New policies are suddenly in your favor. Bureaucracies lose their sting. Even with authorities, the supervisor, the landlord, the principal, the judge, favor falls over your paperwork, over your name, over your family. Clients who hesitated to renew now return, ready to double down, eager to partner with you honestly. What was always at risk is now secured, sealed, protected. Not fragile, but resolved. Your requests are met with, "We'd love to." Your faults overlooked in favor of your excellence. Your absence noticed, your contributions acknowledged. Where before there were closed circuits, now there's breakthrough. Let me tell you about the shift in spiritual inheritance, where the blessing is not just for you, but for everyone tied to your legacy and labor. Every act of faith you made in your private valley becomes seed for someone else's forest. Your commitment to keep sowing, praying, planning when nobody saw is now reaping exponential harvest. Not just for you, but for sons, daughters, friends. Those who trusted you when you were down. The door that slammed in your face will now be the one you unlock for the next generation. The positions you were denied become the standards you set. The voice they shushed now becomes the voice of instruction, and it is sought after in places of pain and transition everywhere. Provision is steady. Tests become testimonies in the hands of everyone who studies your life. The hardest seasons that almost broke you are now stories recited at tables full of hope. Your legacy is safe. Your future is secure. Let me tell you about strength, the quiet kind. A strength that is finally unshakable because it isn't rooted in performance but in the knowledge that you are chosen, kept, sent. You don't hustle for smiles. You don't fight for validation. You feel the freedom to say yes and no without fear of retaliation or being misunderstood. The compliments of others no longer inflate you, and their criticisms no longer define or diminish you. The ground beneath your feet feels firm. Old insecurities fade. And from this place, you commission others. You draw the broken out of shadow. You unlock doors for those still waiting. You put your hands on shoulders and say, "You're going to make it because I saw God do it for me." The courage you carry is contagious. You stand and others rise. Let me declare what's happening as all these threads weave together. A soundless coup, a divine unveiling, a story orchestrated by God alone. What once wounded now becomes weapon. The stone others rolled to block your path now marks your resurrection place. You see it most in ordinary moments. A peaceful drive to work, laughter in the kitchen, a conversation free from tension. These are miracles stacked on old graves of worry. You live without apology. You dream again, this time without limits. The ones who shunned now marvel, not because you climbed over them, but because you let God lift you, let His vindication be your defense. You enter each day knowing that nothing can ever put you back in that cage. The reversal is not temporary, not subject to popular vote, not a trend waiting to turn sour. It's cemented in heaven, activated on earth, and stamped across your timeline by hands far more powerful than any enemy. You don't have to explain, prove, or defend yourself. All that's left for you is obedience, saying yes to new assignments, taking territory fearlessly, releasing comfort to others, moving forward with conviction and grace. So now I decree over you as you step forward in this new chapter. Those who predicted your failure now eat the fruit of their own words. Those who watered seeds of confusion now reap clarity on your behalf. The isolation you survived becomes the headline of your commissioning. The rooms you were barred from are now home base for your next divine project. Old records are expunged, and your testimony stands as proof. What the enemy meant for evil, God multiplied into good, not only for you, but for all connected to your bloodline, your creativity, your sacrifice. They anticipated your breakdown, but you broke through. They traded in rumor, you trade in reality. Their silence is now the setting for your song. They prepared a pit, but you inherited the palace. They stood watch for your ending, but God anointed your fresh beginning. From reversal to vindication to divine commission, you walk in finished grace now. What was once impossible is now inevitable. The old order is gone. The new thing is here. The reversal is secure, the vindication is public, the commission is active, all shame shattered, all blessing confirmed, all doors open suddenly overnight now. Let me take you into the deep places where this reversal plants its roots, where the shift is not just on the surface, but beneath every memory and hope you carry. Right now, as favor arrives and peace settles heavy on your life, the healing is rewiring old beliefs. Your mind stops circling the same old suspicions. The question, will I ever be restored, no longer rattles inside your chest. There's a rest now in your decision-making. You don't have to second-guess if the opportunity before you is real or a setup. The hesitation, that flinch when an unknown number calls, begins to dissolve. And the old habits of shrinking yourself, apologizing for your presence, trying not to take up space, those fall away piece by piece. You feel a quiet boldness, a simple certainty that you belong right here, right now. Let me show you how this flows into your daily routine. You rise in the morning without dread. Coffee tastes just as it should. Windows let the light in, and you no longer fear what the day holds. The smallest blessings feel magnified because you remember the season when nothing seemed to go right. Little victories, no traffic on the way to work, a kind word from a stranger, a clean bill of health, land on your spirit like kisses from heaven, each one whispering, "You are kept, you are safe. The storm has truly passed." People notice the difference in you. They comment, not just on your smile, but on the atmosphere you carry, peace, assurance, a settledness they can't quite name. And it keeps multiplying. One good report leads to another. A creative idea is received with excitement, an old debt is erased, a relative who wouldn't speak to you finally reaches out with warmth, a gesture that says, "The war is over." Let me explain the acceleration that comes after restoration. In the past, every step forward meant 2 steps back. Progress was hard-fought. Breakthrough felt like it cost a piece of your soul. Now doors swing open at a pace that astonishes you. Not just one opportunity, but 3. Not just a single answer, but clarity in every area where you once felt confusion. You get caught up, filled with wonder, watching as the days redeem themselves. Delays become divine connections past. Injustices flip to future favor. Fast answers to old prayers. Quick closure to old drama. You realize God is not just making up for lost time. He is multiplying what you thought you had forfeited. The old grind, the endless repetition of heartbreak and disappointment is broken. The cycles are over. The ground is no longer hard. What you plant now grows quickly and abundantly. Let me show you the new authority you walk in because of where you've been and what you've survived. You notice people coming to you in secret, drawn by the gravity of your rescue. You don't have to wear your testimony like a badge, it just radiates from you. Your advice no longer falls flat or gets dismissed, it carries weight, and those who once doubted you now call for your perspective. Doors open for you not because of who you know, but because you withstood the storm and emerged purified, carrying an authority that can't be mimicked or counterfeited. You speak and atmospheres shift, not because your words are flashy, but because your survival is real. You lay hands on projects and they prosper, not by magic, but by spirit-led strategy that came through fire and perseverance. What you touch stabilizes. people trust you because God's reliability has become visible in your life. That's the commission in action. You are sent into spaces as a stabilizer, a restorer, a builder on ruins. Let me tell you about the wisdom that now operates in you. Wisdom birthed from pain, refined by delay, sharpened by disappointment. You sense things before they surface. Your discernment is keen, shaped by every attack you've endured. The warnings God sends are clearer. The guidance comes without needing dramatic signs. You just know in your bones where the peace is, where the pitfalls are, and what to say no to. Reversal has given you depth, caution without fear, openness without gullibility. You steward this wisdom, sharing it only as the Spirit leads. You are no longer wasteful with your trust, nor stingy with your encouragement. You know who to let in, where to invest, when to rest, how to pour out, and how to refuel. The old rush to fix everything, please everyone, is gone. Your pace is different. You run only when God says run. You rest when He says rest. That's real freedom. Let me quiet every last phantom of shame and old accusation. Vindication has closed those files for good. You no longer rehearse your defense or replay those harmful conversations. The record stuck in your mind finally goes silent. You spend your energy building instead of defending. You see how God shielded your name when you were too weary to fight. You walk through familiar places and no longer feel the sting of memory. You feel grace moving through every room, every hallway, every street. Even the places where you once cried are now safe again. Redeemed memories where you meet God's kindness, not your enemy's echo. You hold your head up without effort. You look people in the eye, and if gossip ever resurfaces, it finds no target left to wound. Let me speak straight to the deepest thing. Your commission is not a spotlight, but a torch. You aren't called forward to be admired alone, but to carry light straight into the shadows where others still wait. Every gift, every lesson, every blessing is a tool for setting captives free, for building families, for establishing peace where unrest once ruled. Your reversal is a signpost for the hopeless. Your vindication means doors will open for many. Where you go, victory follows. When you speak, doubt is scattered. As you work, fruit appears. The influence you wield is not noisy or brash, but undeniable. Born out of scars, shaped by God's faithfulness, sealed in the midnight hours nobody else saw. So I declare to you again, chosen one, this is your now season. They called you a cautionary tale, but God called you a cornerstone. They cataloged your wounds, but heaven archived your valor. They tried to contain you, but God made you a current that can't be dammed. They set up boundaries, and God turned them into bridges. They predicted your silence, but you amplify every promise with your living, breathing testimony. The reversal is deep, total, and alive. Your vindication is visible. Your commission is in motion. You are no longer what happened to you. You are what God is doing through you. Suddenly, overnight, now, the line is drawn. It will not be crossed again. You are established, you are trusted, you are advancing. All heaven agrees, and there is no going back.